guest joining us live via Zoom, Richard Ojeda, retired U.S. Army Major, former West Virginia State Senator, host of Ojeda Live on Facebook and YouTube, co-founder of the Turn Left PAC. Major, good to see you. How are you?
Always a pleasure being on here, Dean. Doing great.
So it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. So I was thinking about, first of all, we'll get to the JD Vance stuff second, but let's first, what was your reaction to Vice President Harris, what she's done in just 3 weeks? It's unbelievable in 3 weeks where we've gone as a nation.
Well, you know, when I first heard that Joe Biden was going to step down, I was worried. I really was worried, and it bothered me because, you know, it was like the debate. You know, he had a rough 30 minutes, but then the rest of the hour, the next hour, he did a good job. But he told the truth as well. You know, they never fact-checked Donald Trump, who did nothing but lie the entire time. So, you know, it really bothered me. And then I was like, how are people going to, you know, are people going to accept Kamala Harris? And I was worried at first. But you know what? She has absolutely turned things around. There is a fire behind her that is absolutely amazing. I mean, crowds are coming out of the woodwork. She's killing it in the polls. And the truth is that, you know, she's a highly educated woman, and this isn't going to stop. You know, she is going to continue firing people up. And then on the opposite side, you know, Donald Trump is practically not even campaigning. You know, he's scared that wherever he does events, that the crowds are now not going to be that big. He is still fixated on crowd size. And even though people on his side are begging him to stop talking about those things, you can't control Donald Trump. And that's just the way that it is. And I think that, you know, Kamala is doing a phenomenal job, and Governor Walz was a phenomenal pick. So I think that right now the Democrats are in a great place.
And tell us what you think of Governor Walz and that. And again, we'll get to the JD Vance thing in a second, but I want to give the Governor Walz his due. He served 24 years in the National Guard. He could have retired at 20 years. He stayed. Share with people a little bit. He was deployed on foreign soil, had to leave his family to go help with the Operation Enduring Freedom. Like, this guy, while he wasn't in a war zone, he was supporting the war effort and taking time from his family and his work to serve our nation.
Absolutely. You know, everybody wants to talk about combat zones, but once again, you know, like people that get deployed to Kuwait, you're not out there squeezing triggers and kicking doors, but make no mistake about it, you're away from your family. And, you know, there's always something that could happen. But, you know, he was deployed to Italy, and he was also deployed to Turkey in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which means that the work that he was doing was supporting people that were inside Afghanistan fighting the Taliban. And that is absolutely phenomenal. The fact that we have a man now who actually occupied the role of a command sergeant major, and he's going to be in the White House. Every veteran in the United States of America should be excited, because who better to stand up and fight for veterans than somebody that has given 24 years of their life, that cares about people that are in uniform. You don't make it to E9 if you do not absolutely love soldiers. And that's exactly what Governor Walz did. And absolutely, he loves soldiers. And, you know, once again, he actually retired. And it was months before when he, you know, they were told 2 years in advance, there's a possibility that the National Guard here is going to get a deployment. But once again, you know, he decided that he was going to retire and run for Congress. And, you know, when he retired, they did not have orders deploying them to foreign soil. It was 2 months after he retired when his unit was told, okay, you're going to deploy. We don't know exactly when. And then a couple months later is when they got the date. He was already gone. You know, they're trying to make it look like he abandoned his troops, and he absolutely did not.
To the point of view of Republicans, I guess that if you serve in the National Guard, you have to be there for life, or you've abandoned your troops. I mean, JD Vance left after 4 years. Why didn't he re-enlist? Why didn't he stay in longer? We can make the same argument. He abandoned, but he did. He served his nation. And today, literally today, a short time ago, soon to be Vice President Walz thanked JD Vance for his service and said, I was proud, very proud to serve our nation. And he gave 24 years where, can you share a little bit the National Guard? I know you were full-time U.S. Army, but the National Guard, every time there's a hurricane, they're there. National emergency, they're there. They're sent all over the world at times, all over the country to do service for our nation.
Look, for years, I'm talking for well over a decade now, who do you think has been actually in Kosovo, basically keeping those people from slaughtering each other? It's been the National Guard. You know, we have let them pretty much take over that entire mission. the National Guard deploys. If it wasn't for the National Guard, we would have never got to go home. And I'm going to tell you, some National Guard units, they're hit or miss. But I'm going to tell you, there's quite a few. The National Guard of West Virginia, the engineers in West Virginia, not only can they deploy, they can fight. And they can fight combined arms. We've got some solid leadership across this country in the National Guard. And make no mistake about it, when you are in a leadership role, it's not a weekend a month. You're always doing something. By the time he made it to the rank of E7 in the National Guard, he was pretty much focused. Most of his time was dedicated to doing things for the National Guard. And as a command sergeant major, absolutely 100% dedicated to those troops. Look, I retired after 24 years in 2014. We were still in Afghanistan for another 6 years. Am I wrong because I retired? No, I retired because I had spent so much time away from my wife and my children that I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to take the promotion to lieutenant colonel. I was selected for promotion. And then basically, I made the decision that I've spent a lot of time with my families, and that was it.
Well, and I'm telling you what, Richard Ojeda, retired U.S. Army Major, Democratic fire starter, strategist. The other thing is that's kind of lost, and I'm going to cover it more on the show tomorrow. When he was in Congress, he went to Iraq. He went to the war zone. He went to Afghanistan to talk to the troops to find out what they needed and what veterans benefit protection support they needed when they got home. In Congress, he was one of the big champions. He was ranking member. He would have been chair, but Democrats didn't have control of Congress at the time. He was ranking member of the Veteran Affairs Committee, fighting all the time for veterans. So he didn't abandon anyone. He kept fighting for the veterans across the nation from day one in Congress from 2007 on.
And that's what they don't want people to know about. At the end of the day, anytime I see somebody that is a veteran that is running for office, I get excited because once again, we know that they're not going to be able to take things away from us if we've got a voice in Congress that's willing to stand up and fight for us. Make no mistake about it. You've got a lot of people that are Republicans, and I'll be honest with you, they're all about, we love the veterans. We love the veterans. They will knock an old lady down to get a picture of them with the veteran coming off of an airplane after they just redeployed home from a combat zone. But yet behind the scenes, they'll vote against veterans. And oh, by the way, you can go ahead and you can look at the Republican Party right now and their vote towards anything that deals with veterans, and it's not going to be beneficial for us at all. It's important for us to have people in Congress that have been there, that care about the veterans and want to represent us and be our voice. To me, this is absolutely phenomenal. To thought that we're going to have a man who was literally serving in a command sergeant major role as the vice president of the United States. Who better to look at the Veterans Administration and say, I want to now see all the issues and we're going to fix these issues so that all of our veterans that go to the VA get the utmost best care that is available. To me, this is exciting.
And you make a great point, Richard, about Republicans talking about veterans. The PACT Act, which helps our veterans who've been exposed to burn pits and expedites the process for all veterans. Trump didn't pass it when they controlled Congress. No, he did a tax cut for the wealthy. That's what he worked on.
And
what did President Biden do? And he got bipartisan support. But at first, Republicans in the Senate shot it down, and Jon Stewart and others shamed them. Yep. Or Ted Cruz voted against it and others, and had to shame them to simply provide our veterans with care that they need and a presumption of care, and that it's an exposure to toxic burn pits where they were dying of cancer and not getting the care they need, which is beyond me that in this country, you could serve our nation and get something in service, and still though you have to go through this bureaucracy bullshit to just get care that you need to keep you alive. And I can't believe that. And President Biden did a great job with that, getting that passed.
You're absolutely spot on. And I'm going to tell you right now, the PACT Act is absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of Republicans voted against it. Don't tell me that you care about veterans, but you vote against it. Let me tell you something. I have breathed in burning bodies. I have been around vehicles that were destroyed with depleted uranium. I have had over 30 cysts removed from my body. If I believe it or not, but I have absolutely went through the ringer when it comes to that kind of stuff. And, the PACT Act absolutely not only helps me, but it also helps my family. And, when we see people that vote against that, that right there tells you exactly who they really are. Ted Cruz does not care about veterans. Now, Ted Cruz will use veterans. He'll do camera shots and take pictures with veterans. But deep down inside, they resent veterans. They don't like the fact that veterans are able to merit so much support from people across this country. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, we could not have it any better with what Joe Biden has done and with what I believe Governor Walz, soon to be vice president, and President Kamala Harris will do for the veterans in this country. And I'm excited about it. And I hope that all those other people out there that are veterans are excited about it.
Me too. So what's your reaction to JD Vance, where he went on the weekend shows one after the other, demonizing and at the same time defending a guy who faked bone spurs, because we know it's fake, because the daughters of the doctors have come forward and said he did it. The father did it as a doctor to do a favor for Fred Trump, the dad. So he kept him out of the war. So and Michael Cohen, well, you might even know Michael, testified before Congress that Trump told him, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to Vietnam. That's how dismissive he was of serving our nation. So you got JD Vance attacking a man who served 24 years to protect our nation, left his family, stationed in Europe and in Turkey, and defending a guy who's a scumbag in Donald Trump.
Yeah, JD Vance is the worst vice presidential selection pick ever. He makes Dan Quayle look like an absolute barn burner. Let me tell you, JD Vance, for him to do, first and foremost, it is an unwritten rule. We don't throw stones at each other's service. And for JD Vance to throw shade at a man who served for 24 years and was occupying the highest rank in the military as a command sergeant major. Now, he retired as a master sergeant, but he held the role. He was called sergeant major for over a year. So for JD Vance to throw shade at him and not look to your left at a man who literally claimed bone spurs 5 times, who once again, a favor to his father so that his son would not have to serve in Vietnam. We don't even know what happened to the 5 people that had to go in his place. Did they make it home? Did they come home and struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder? Oh, by the way, the reason why we have a Veterans Administration today is because of what we did not do for Vietnam veterans coming back home. We have now decided that we will never allow soldiers who served this country to come home and ever be treated the way that they were during the Vietnam War. And, it amazes me how JD Vance can throw shade. And let me tell you something. Look, I respect JD Vance. He slept for 6 months in a combat zone, but make no mistake about it, he didn't go outside the wire. He ain't no door kicker. He ain't squeezing no triggers. JD Vance basically sit and wrote good news stories for 6 months in an air-conditioned room. And thank him for his service. Thank you for deploying, but you don't get the right to beat your chest and act like you're all that in a bag of chips. Because once again, this guy, he's no door kicker.
Richard Ojeda, bringing the fire as always, our friend. So, Richard, you mentioned Trump barely campaigning. We have no idea what's going on. Like when you're trailing, and Trump is trailing objectively, you're supposed to be on the trail doing things. He's sitting at home. He's doing a press conference at Mar-a-Lago. He's on with Elon Musk yesterday. And I don't know if you heard the clips, slurring his words in ways I don't even know what is going on with the guy. Something deeply is wrong. What's your guess to why Trump is just not out there?
Donald Trump is absolutely losing it. He is losing it. He's fixated on crowd sizes. I'm going to tell you, I listened to Scaramucci today, and he was talking about, he said, you know what, there's a 40% chance that Donald Trump is going to drop out of this race because Donald Trump does not want to actually get to the point where he has to say he was beat by a woman of color. Scaramucci said that. Then Scaramucci said that after the DNC, there's a 40% chance that he's going to dump JD Vance. And to be honest with you, like I said, JD Vance is just the worst. JD Vance come out and said that drag queens are going to destroy this country. And then lo and behold, 2 days later, we got him dressing in drag during college. I mean, there is nothing about the JD Vance is absolutely the worst vice presidential selection in the history of this country. That's a fact. And once again, if Donald Trump wants to continue down that path, good, because JD Vance ain't doing him no help. But once again, Donald Trump is losing it. I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. I mean, I heard somebody say today that he's actually spoke about potentially getting on his airplane and flying to Argentina. You know,
no, Venezuela. He said yesterday with Elon Musk, he literally said to Elon Musk, you know, if this goes bad in the election, you can visit me in Venezuela. And I'm like, what? And then he adds, because it's safer there. I'm like, you're thinking about fleeing the jurisdiction. He is going to flee the jurisdiction.
Yeah, look, like literally shooting yourself in the foot. He's on, I'm sorry, he's on, shoot, goodness gracious.
But Trump, but beyond Elon Musk, and we're doing this live, and someone just talked to Richard while we were here. So we're talking about Elon Musk, and that he wants to go to Venezuela. He's openly talking about this. He's not joking around, folks. He's talking about fleeing the jurisdiction.
Yeah, but also understand too that when he was on with Elon Musk last night, what were they talking about? He was congratulating Elon Musk for firing people who were trying to ask for better pay and better conditions for work. I mean, what Donald Trump did last night shot himself in the foot with every union worker in this country. If you are a union worker and you vote for Donald Trump, you're a moron. Donald Trump literally last night with Elon Musk literally praised Elon Musk for firing people, for asking for better pay. This guy has $240 billion and he can't pay somebody an extra $1 an hour. I mean, the greed with these people. But once again, that's what we have. And Donald Trump continues to go down the path and do these interviews and things like that. And he's shooting himself in the foot. And I don't even know if the people that are in his campaign, they cannot control him. We're already hearing that they're absolutely basically just throwing their hands up.
Well, look, the Republicans are salivating at running for 2028 for the nomination, and that's what's really going to happen. You're not going to see Nikki Haley. But I want to play that short clip that you mentioned where Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and Trump says to him, and Trump can't remember the name of the company. And I had played this earlier because I played clips from Dr. John Gartner, who was on From Duty to Warn about Trump's dementia and that it's getting objectively worse. But here's Trump bragging about firing people. The UAW filed a complaint today with the Labor Relations Board about this. But listen to Trump slurring his words too. Like, I don't know why the corporate media is not going like, what the F is going on? Here's clip number 4, please.
This cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, you want to quit? They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone. So every one of you is gone and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it.
I don't even, he's talking about Venezuela. So this is kind of remarkable where we are as a nation. So we've got this guy who doesn't really know where he is, but he knows he wants to flee the jurisdiction because no one wants to die in prison. I mean, let's be honest. It's a human reaction. He's seeing the writing on the wall. He loses this. He will be convicted in more of the cases and he will get sentenced to jail. At the very least, house arrest for the rest of his life. No golf privileges. There better not be golf privileges.
Yeah. He will never. When he realizes that he's never going to hold a golf club again, it's going to explode his heart. Let me tell you something. The classified documents, it's going to come back. He's going to be found guilty.
Definitely.
Waltine Nauta, Oliveri, those guys are going to go to prison for extended periods of time. The call to Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Secretary of State, asking for 11,780 votes. He's going to be found guilty about that. The January 6th, which now he does not have immunity for because presidents don't get immunity to launch coups. So he's going to go down with that. Donald Trump is never going to see freedom ever again when this is over with. And yeah, he may try to sneak off to Venezuela. But let me tell you something. That guy right there is going to be held accountable. We're going to beat Trumpism, and we got to beat Trumpism big time. We want to make people embarrassed to let anybody know that they were a part of Trumpism when this is over with. And I believe that Kamala is going to do a phenomenal job. And I also believe that the Democrats have one hell of a bench. We've got people that could run for president, that could win for the next 15, 20 years. We're talking Gavin Newsom. We're talking Andy Beshear. We're talking Gretchen Whitmer. Mm-hmm. We've got a heavy bench. Pete Buttigieg. We've got some amazing people out there on the Democratic side. And I'm telling you, I tell people, vote blue up and down the damn ballots. Let's give Kamala Harris a House of Representatives that will work for her. Let's give Kamala Harris a Senate that will work for her, and we will see legislation that will be passed that will fix the border, that will help people, will give people a hand up instead of a handout. We're going to do some amazing things for this country, and it's going to literally show that Democrats have what it takes to take us to the next level. Trumpism doesn't. Trumpism dies here.
Amen. Did you ever see the movie Inglourious Bastards, the Tarantino movie?
Absolutely.
So we can't carve anything into the MAGA's head, but maybe we can glue the MAGA caps on their head so they have to wear it all the time so they can never say, I was never MAGA. Because if you saw the movie, they carved the swastika on people's head. I'm not advocating that at all. That was a technique, a sort of a device in the movie. But I wish there was a way like we can glue the MAGA hats on so they can't deny that they were MAGA. Like, well, no, you got the hat on. I know you painted it blue, but we can still see it. You're wearing the hat.
We know who they are. And you know what? Everybody goes, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of these people, you know, I hate to say it because I come from Southern West Virginia. And, you know, I'm going to tell you that a lot of it is pure racism. And when you come from a state that's 98.6% white, you know, and everybody down there wants to gripe about, you know, people coming across the border. Nobody's coming to West Virginia to take your shitty coal miner's job where your coal operator don't give two shits about you and will work you 16 hours a damn day. Nobody from Mexico's coming up for that garbage. You know, it amazes me how these people, it's racism is what it is. And that's one of the things about Donald Trump is that Donald Trump right now is asking himself, am I going to continue going down this path and allowing myself to be looked at as the guy who got beat by a woman of color? That's what he's thinking right now. He's panicking because he knows that is going to be that's going to be what he's going to be remembered for. There'll be a lot of things he's remembered for, but that's the one that he is absolutely dreading the most. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's nothing he can do to stop it right now.
I wish there's a law named after the Donald J. Trump Act to make it clear presidents can be held responsible, criminally liable for their crimes. But we have to change this Supreme Court. I mean, by the way, you mentioned West Virginia. There, Jim Justice, your buddy, the governor there running for Senate, didn't pay taxes. He has to pay a whole bunch of unpaid taxes for the Greenbrier Resort. What is going on with your buddy Jim Justice? And I say that sarcastically. He doesn't like Jim Justice at all.
First off, you know, he needs to be held underwater till the bubbles stop. That guy's absolute garbage. But here's the thing. When he became the governor of West Virginia, his net worth was $1.6 billion. Now he's worth $400 million. All of his daggone coal operations across the state are now in trouble because they don't pay any of their fines. They don't pay nothing. The Greenbrier is being it's going to be auctioned off on the steps of the Greenbrier. They're going to auction off the Greenbrier. This fat turd, and I don't like to pick on people because of the way they look, but with him, I'll give an exception. That fat turd does nothing for the state of West Virginia. He put $1.6 billion on the backs of the working class citizens to fix the roads and did not fix the roads. 50th in infrastructure for the entire time that he's been the governor. Now he's running for U.S. Senate, which is an embarrassment in itself. And the bad part about it is he's traveling around the state of West Virginia. He don't got nothing good he can say that he's done, but he brings these big fat bulldog, and as long as people get to pet baby dog, they act like, oh, he's the greatest. He let me pet baby dog. If you're in West Virginia and you vote for Jim Justice because he lets you pet baby dog, you are an absolute moron. That guy right there is the worst. There's a guy that's running from Wheeling, West Virginia against him, and I can't remember his name right off the hand, but that's the guy that West Virginia needs to send forward. Stop sending people forward that do nothing. Carol Miller was the person that beat me. She defeated me back in 2018. This is her fourth term she's going for. She has never brought one single penny back to West Virginia except for a $3.1 million PPP loan for herself. That's the only thing that she has done. And once again, it's election time. So now she's going around to all the churches in her district and she's singing in the choir. And that's all she does. And for some odd reason, people vote for her for that. Stop voting for people that bring you nothing. Marge the Trainwreck Green has done nothing. Matt Gaetz has done nothing. These people have done nothing for you at all. They bring nothing to the table. And you got to stop sending these people to represent you.
So Glenn Elliott, that's the guy in West Virginia?
Yes.
Because Manchin, by the way, is not running. Then to remind people, Joe Manchin's not running for re-election there.
Good.
So you didn't like Joe Manchin either. It's funny, the baby dog, the Greenbrier is such a famous resort, and he misran it. He ran it so badly that I'd never been to it, but it's supposed to be amazing golf resort, country club type of thing.
Well,
go ahead.
The Greenbrier was the place back in the 50s and 60s where if there was going to be a nuclear war, underneath the Greenbrier was where all the members of Congress and then were going to be held if there was ever a nuclear war. That's where it got its fame.
Wow, I didn't know
But
that.
yeah, he's mismanaged everything. The guy has lost $1.1 billion since becoming the governor of West Virginia, and he ain't done a damn thing for that state.
So last two things. One is, and it's kind of, look, it's almost cliche at this point to criticize our media because I'm not really sure what they do, but they used to look at a vice presidential pick and go, is that person really ready on day one? And Tim Walz served in the House, served in the military, served in the House, served governor 2 terms. JD Vance has been a senator for 2 years, and there's not even a story about, is he really ready to be president? And he's running with a guy who's like 100. And I mean, at least his face looks like leather from 100 years ago. He's got a Ozempic face, and he doesn't look well. But really, it's very likely, if Trump would somehow win, that he doesn't fulfill the first term. I mean, I'm not wishing him death. I'm just saying that no one in the media is covering, why is JD Vance ready to be president on day one? I don't know for the life of me.
He's not. And the
I know
truth
he's
is,
not.
neither is Donald Trump. Because, once again, Donald Trump had 44 people on his administration that worked their butts off every day just to try to keep things from falling over. It was that bad. But let me tell you something. Governor Walz, absolutely. E9 in the military. He was a member of Congress. He knows how to get things done. He knows what bipartisan support is. And Kamala Harris, a district attorney, an attorney general, a U.S. senator, a vice president, a successful vice president, and nobody is more ready to take that role. It is time for that glass ceiling to be shattered. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm already making phone calls because I want my daughters to be there in Washington, D.C. when she raises her hand, puts her hand on a Bible, and she takes that oath. I want my daughters to see the first female president of the United States, and I'm excited for it, and everybody should be.
That's great. And it's a great way of putting it. So last thing, next week is the Democratic National Convention. What do you hope to see? Like, what are you hoping for?
Look here. They had Kid Rock and they had that racist jackaloon Hulk Hogan. Big deal. We've got President Barack Obama. We've got Dr. Michelle Obama. We've got President Biden. We've got Dr. Jill Biden. We've got Kamala's going to be speaking. We've got Governor Walz is going to be speaking. We've got Pete Buttigieg. We got Mark Kelly. We got Josh Shapiro. Man, we've got some people that are going to fire this country up. When the Democratic National Convention is over, this country is going to be solidified to do away with Trumpism, and I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. And, there's an article today I was reading, will Beyonce show up? Will Taylor Swift? I don't think it's likely at all Taylor Swift shows up, but there's a teeny chance Beyonce shows up because her song Freedom is part of the Kamala Harris track that she comes out to, and it was with approval. So I hope so. But you're right. Like, it's great to have a celebrity like Beyonce is meaningful in this scenario. Kid Rock was just whatever, that's the person they could find, him and Hulk Hogan.
Kid Rock, the guy's been around for 20 some years. He's got 3 songs. That's it. Let me tell you something. I know that Taylor Swift is doing a call. She's going to do a phone call with Kamala Harris. And once again, look at these phone calls that are taking place. Phone calls with black men, phone calls with white men, phone calls with black women. I mean, with all these different groups of people, and they're phenomenal, and they're raising all kinds of money. They're doing amazing. The rallies are just exploding. There's not a seat left in the House. I'm going to tell you right now, the DNC is going to solidify the Democrats. We're going to make everybody know that when you go to the polls, you vote blue up and down that ballot. You vote blue for those Board of Education. You vote blue for the daggone county commissioners. You vote blue for Secretary of States. We're going to take this country back, and we're going to do it the right way. And I'm going to tell you, I am absolutely fired up and motivated. Just to be a part of this, I'm excited.
Me too. I am excited. So, Richard, if people want to follow you and go check out your YouTube show, which I really recommend, and Facebook, your YouTube show, you can watch it there as well. Where can they go?
Okay, so every night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube on Ojeda Live. And then you can also go to the turnleftpack.org. You can buy merchandise. We got nice Ojeda Live shirts. We got Jackaloon shirts with Lauren Boebert and Donald Trump on them and stuff. But we also have a billboard fund. See, we just put a billboard right outside of JD Vance's neighborhood in Cincinnati, and it's just a picture of him, and it says Donald Trump is unfit, quoted him saying that when he did say it years ago. So we're going to be putting more billboards. We're going to go after Ted Cruz as well with some billboards. So you can donate to the billboard fund and help us stick a thumb in their eye. That's what we want to do.
Help Richard Ojeda. Turn Left Pack. Check it out. Check out his show, 8:30. You can watch. You can listen to my show on delay for the last half hour to check out Richard's show because I'm 6 to 9. But Richard, brother, it's always great chatting with you. You fire me up. I know you fire the listeners up, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Brother, I love the Dean Obeidallah show. You know, anytime you need me, brother, all you got to do is say the word, and I'm there.
Thanks a lot, Richard. Have a great night. Take care.